Moscow, Soviet Union, 1928. Dictator Joseph Stalin launches the first five-year plan for the Soviet Union. Heavy industries like steel, coal, and machinery are the focus of rapid industrialization. Farmers are pressured to increase their harvests to support the growing workforce. And scientists are tasked with figuring out how to breed stronger livestock. Leading this effort is a Soviet biologist named Ilya Ivanov.
Ilya Ivanov started his career as a biologist under the Tsarist regime. And one of the things that he was very interested in was the idea of the artificial insemination of horses and cattle. So this was a way to take particular desirable biological traits, find the stallion who had the traits you wanted, and if you milked the sperm and artificially inseminated it, that one horse could fertilize 5,000 mares.
Before the 20th century, artificial insemination was looked at something that just would not work. Ivanov helped to prove that this was not the case, and he began using these techniques to create strange new creatures. He created a zebra-donkey hybrid called a zedonk and a bison-cow hybrid called a zubron, and it was amazingly successful. He became the foremost expert in the world on artificial insemination. But then he had an even bigger idea. He thought, could we breed a human with a chimpanzee?
To most of us, the idea of a half-human, half-chimpanzee hybrid sounds, well, insane. But Ilya Ivanov was convinced such a combination was possible, and he became obsessed with the idea of creating an entirely new species called humanzee.
Ilya Ivanov wanted to create a crossover between apes and humans. He called these the human-zee experiments. It was government-funded research. Part of what people believe he was trying to show is that humans really did evolve from apes, and by showing this kind of interspecies impregnation, it would, in theory, prove that kind of evolutionary link. As far as we know, Ilya Ivanov tried this in a lot of different ways. He tried to get human women to be willing to be inseminated artificially by ape sperm. He tried to transplant tissue from the uterus of a human woman into an ape. He was willing to do it in any way that was possible.
For one of his experiments in the summer of 1927, Ivanov managed to bring back to the Soviet Union a male orangutan. He named him Tarzan, and he actually managed to find 5 female volunteers in the Soviet Union. One of the women memorably commented that, "I'm willing to volunteer for this because I feel that my life has no more sense anymore." So I think he was somehow tapping into the suicidal women in the Soviet Union who were just going to abandon all hope to participate in this gruesome experiment. But Ivanov had failed in his attempt because the orangutan promptly died. Soon after that, one of his colleagues reported him for counter-revolutionary activities, and he got arrested in one of Stalin's purges. They exiled him to Kazakhstan. 2 years later, he died of a stroke. That was the end of his research project.
Was Ilya Ivanov's dedication to his delusional hybrid project simply to prove that human beings had evolved from apes? Or was there a more diabolical plan driving the 10-year odyssey to create a humanzee?
Why would a Soviet scientist want to create a humanzee? Well, we don't really know, but we can take some guesses. One of those would be that he was trying to create a super soldier. When you talk about the chimpanzee, talking about more stamina, more strength, if you can pull some of those traits into a soldier, you would have essentially a real-life Captain America. And if you ask me, is probably what Ivanov is trying to do.